beautiful writing. It's mesmerizing to watch, and our favorite artists make it look effortless. But is this a magical skill that only a select few born with some rare writing gene can pull off? I'm a pretty positive and optimistic guy, but when it comes to this question, one reply in particular absolutely breaks my heart every single time I hear it. But before we talk about that, let's really dig into this question, because there are 3 things that people get completely wrong all the time when it comes to learning to write beautifully. First, does this sound familiar? I don't have neat handwriting, so I'll never be able to do this. Let me ask you a question. If you wanted to draw Superman, would you worry at all about how good your handwriting is? You wouldn't even think about handwriting, right? Well, it's the same thing here. Just like learning to draw, paint, sculpt, or anything else, writing beautifully is just a matter of learning some basic skills and then applying them. We learn a few simple lines, or strokes as we like to call them, because we like to come up with fancy names for things. Then we combine those into letters, words, sentences, paragraphs, illustrations, whatever your imagination can think of. Sometimes we play with the lines by changing the angles and the pressure, but in the end, they're just lines. So, just like drawing Superman involves turning basic lines into figures, beautiful writing is just about turning lines into lovely letters. Here's another way to think about it. Say someone asks you where the nearest grocery store is, and you scribble down a quick map to help them get there. That's completely different from how you'd approach drawing a beautiful landscape, right? Well, scrambling to write eggs and milk on your grocery list is also a completely different thing from turning your favorite poem or quote into beautifully written art. So now that we're on the same page that your handwriting doesn't matter, let's turn from grocery lists to lists of supplies. Another hesitation I hear all the time is, I'm sure I need super expensive tools to do this, right? I mean, only the finest handmade sumi ink flown all the way from Japan that costs $1,000 for a single stick the size of a couple of my fingers will do, right? Of course not. Do you need a grand concert piano ready for the Philharmonic to take your first piano lesson? That'd be silly, right? We'd start with something much simpler and level up our tools as we go. In fact, just remember that for writing, all the supplies boil down to just a pen, ink, and some paper. That's it. I've seen people write gorgeously with a cheap ballpoint pen and standard notebook paper. Even if you want to have fun with the Blackletter styles that I love, you don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on complicated and expensive tools. You can get a fantastic set of supplies that you can keep writing with for months for under $40. So bottom line, yes, good tools do make a difference. And there are a gazillion absolutely amazing pens, inks, and papers out there. But good doesn't automatically mean expensive. Do the best you can with what you have, or just get the basics. Bottom line, just start writing. Okay, we've removed those first couple of roadblocks, but the next one is one of my favorites. Maybe you feel like it's just too late to start learning anything new like this. I mean, all that art stuff, it's for prodigies and young people who are born creatives, right? Basically, this boils down to, I'm just too old to start. To sum up, you're definitely not too old to learn this. In fact, to prove this point, let's do a little experiment right now. Wherever you are, and as long as it's safe, please don't do this if you're driving, just stand up and walk around something. Your chair, a table, even just in a small circle in whatever room you're in right now. Go ahead, I'll still be here. Now let me ask you this. What on earth does what you just did have to do with your ability to learn? You're probably thinking, not much, but that's all your age is. It's a celebration of the number of times you've rotated around the sun. That's it. It just so happens that instead of walking around a chair or a table, you're on a spaceship called the Earth that's whirling us all around the sun at the fantastic speed of 67,000 miles per hour. I've had students with ages ranging from 1 digit to almost 3, and all that ever matters is having the desire to learn and the commitment to keep writing. Which brings us all the way back to that one thing I mentioned earlier that always breaks my heart whenever I hear it. I'll see or meet someone who's clearly interested in calligraphy or even art in general, staring at some beautiful work that really speaks to them in a unique and special way. They'll sigh and say, I could never do that. Now, this is going to sound out of character, but just bear with me, because whenever someone says that, they're actually both right and wrong. Most of the time when we say, I could never do that, it's in a way of limiting what we're capable of. We're comparing ourselves to someone else who's dedicated countless hours to learning and perfecting their craft. Comparison is the thief of joy, and in this case, we're comparing ourselves, who may have spent 0 hours so far trying to learn something, with someone who's invested thousands of hours in the skill. We're comparing those levels of effort, which just isn't fair, and we're diminishing our future potential in the process. So here's where I could never do that is both right and wrong. Looking at someone else's incredible art, what's right is that I'll never be able to replicate exactly what another artist made. But that's both wonderful and miraculous. The real questions are, what could I make and what will I make as I keep learning, growing, and making things? Because just like the art of your favorite creators is uniquely theirs, there is no one in the universe, no one who ever lived, who can create the art that lives in your heart. Just like every artist that's ever lived, your art is and will be one of a kind, uniquely yours. Whether you do it for fun or to pursue a professional dream, whether you create for yourself or to share it with the whole wide world, your creations will always be uniquely you. Isn't that wonderful? If there's something in here you'd love to express through art, maybe you've pushed it way, way down, but you know what I mean if you're a fellow artist, an artist at heart. If there are some lines that you feel just need to be drawn, ink that must be put to paper, paint to brush onto a canvas, or light to collect on a sensor or film, whatever your creative passion is, give it the breath of life. Give yourself a chance and create the art that only you can bring to this world. I know you can do this, and I can't wait to see what you make. And one last idea to help with the next time you feel that I could never do that feeling. Consider pivoting to, I'm so inspired and I can't wait to learn from this. Instead of comparison stealing from your energy and joy, build a sense of wonder that just adds enthusiasm to keep on learning. If you're excited to go make something now and you'd like something fun to get those creative juices flowing, here's a little musically synchronized triple calligraphy tutorial walkthrough thing that I made that you can check out while you're gathering your supplies. I promise that description will make a lot more sense when you see the video. In the meantime, of course, keep writing, keep playing, have lots and lots of fun, and I will see you next time.